Gary Russo, MarkLogic developer. Topic for today is the Content Processing Framework, also known as CPF. I'm also going to talk about the new binary file support that was added in MarkLogic 5, so often referred to as the ISIS filters. To do this, though, I'm going to look at one of my favorite MarkLogic GitHub applications that's called Document Discovery. So the page you're looking at right now is the MarkLogic GitHub repository. It's a wide range of applications that developers could use. Let's scroll down a bit, and I'm going to show you quickly the link to Document Discovery, which is right here. Let's go right to it. If you look at the README for this file, this repository, ingest binary documents, arbitrary binary documents, and which triggers an action by the Content Processing Framework to further modify the metadata that's generated. So we'll walk through the installation. I had to modify this a bit. It didn't work straight out of the box, so I will provide my source code for you to download. So this screencast will complement the blog post I just posted, and I'll have the link to this screencast here shortly. Here, I'll talk a little bit about the background, but as I said, I'm going to talk about CPF, this new binary file metadata. The application uses a field value query, which is also new to MarkLogic 5. And then I'm going to show you a little bit of code snippet on how to do a simple annotate and custom ratings that's already in the GitHub application. It's just fun to take a quick look at how that's done. I mentioned that the triggering mechanism in this case is going to be this document insert, which is going to create this initial state, which will invoke some XQuery code. That XQuery code will call this new binary file support. It used to be called an ISIS filter. The company has since changed its name to Perceptive Search Document Filter, and you can read more about that in the Search Developer's Guide. What's interesting about it, it creates metadata, and here's a good snapshot. This is the raw metadata that's created by that Document Filter API, and then there's another function that's called that will reformat this metadata into this image right here. Jump right into the installation. So at the bottom of the blog post, I talk about the things that I had to do to make it work for my situation. So you can look at here, I changed the config file, modified the pipeline a little bit, put it in a different directory than what was in the initial instructions. I added some logging to verify that the code's getting executed. This link right here will take you to my version of this. Download the Document Discovery zip file, and when you do that, you will unzip that contents of the file. You'll see a directory like this, and we'll go right to this. So the config directory has the configuration of the database and application servers. So let's just jump right to it right now. So I'm going to walk you through the installation of this Document Discovery application. I'm going to deploy it to a server called PS4 Demo MarkLogic right here. You can see there's a lot of other applications running on this server, so this is fine. Let me the nice thing here is we're going to use the new configuration manager, and we're just going to import that XML file I just showed you. Click on this. This is the configuration manager. In my case, it's running on port 8002. So I'm going to click on this import link here. Just give it a few seconds. I'm just going to browse right to that directory, and I should have it in this list here. So I'm going to navigate to that configuration directory, and I'm going to choose that XML file, and then I'm going to upload it. Just give it a few seconds here, and it should respond, and there you go. It gives you a list of all the settings. So it's creating 3 databases. There's this Document Discovery Triggers database. Scroll down further, you'll see Document Discovery Modules. That's where our source code is going to go. Scroll down a little further, and you'll see the main. This is the primary database. This is the Document Discovery database. That's going to hold the binary files and then the metadata associated with those binary files. This apply button, give it a few seconds here, and now it's going to create. So this is what you get when it's done creating all the settings. You get this success ticket. So let's go back to the admin page here. We'll do a refresh, and we should see that those, here we go, we have the databases have been created. I click on document discovery, you'll see the key thing here, these fields. This is a field value, 3 elements, and creates an author facet. And here I gave a little weighting. So for last author, I want to make that higher weighted than, say, the typist element. The content processing framework. So you can see I got the document discovery database selected. Let's go back to the primary page here. CPF uses a triggers database, so I got to make sure that the new triggers database is assigned. Okay, let's commit to this change here. Configuration files to the document discovery triggers database. Let's take a look at what's there right now. So I'm at the query console here. I have a few scripts queued up, but I just want to take a look at what's currently in that document discovery triggers database, and there should be nothing in there, and there is nothing there. Great. So let's go back, and we're going to install the content processing framework. Do that, but click on this content processing link here, click the install. Enable conversion is set to false. I'm going to click install here, and at this point it's going to add the config files to the triggers database. And let's take a look at what's there now. Great, you see 38 documents, and they're all these XML files which has details about the pipelines that were installed. So the next step is to add 2 more pipes. First we got to enable these pipelines right here. You can see this list. So on domains, and I look at the default domain, you can see there's just one pipeline that's enabled. I'm going to click on this link here. These are all default settings. So I want to enable 2 others. One of them is already. So I'll enable the document filter XHTML. Let's click on this one, the new custom pipeline, and let's take a look at what that source code looks like. So when I said you download the source code, you'll see this directory called ingest, and it has 2 files. One is the pipeline configuration, and the other one is the code that gets invoked. I have to copy these 2 files to a directory that's on the MarkLogic installation directory. So let's go right to it right now. I'll show you where it is. So this is the actual server, the PS4 server, and I'm going to jump right to the MarkLogic installation directory, go into the modules subdirectory, and then there should be a CPF subdirectory here, directory called ingest, and you can see I copied those 2 files right there. So we're going to have to load up that meta pipeline. It's called meta pipeline. So let's go back to So to install this custom meta pipeline, click on this pipelines link here. Click on the load tab up top. The directory where I just created that ingest directory. This is the MarkLogic installation directory. And notice it's just going to be looking for that XML config file. So I click on OK here. Right away picks it up. Click OK here, and you can see that it is currently installed. It's just not enabled just yet. Here it is, meta pipeline. So this is all these settings. You can see the conditions, the triggering events. On success, on what happens when it fails, there's this error that's called. So the important one here that we're going to look at right now is this XQuery file statement, so we could verify that the metadata is getting converted. So all it's doing is getting the metadata that was generated from the ISIS filter API, and we're going to modify that a little bit further, just doing a node replace. I also want to find XML file looks like. This is the configuration file to configure the pipeline. And you can see it has all the details on success. The important one here is when this initial condition occurs. So it invokes this module here. So now that the pipeline is installed, let's make sure that it's enabled. So I go to the domains link here, and I click on the default domain pipelines link for this, and I should see the meta pipeline. There it is. So let's enable this. Have all the 3 pipelines are configured for this domain right there. Step is to deploy the source code. So let's go back to the code base, and we're going to look at this source subdirectory here, and I'm going to copy all this code to the modules database. So I'll just show you the I have a WebDAV set up. The tool that I use is BitConnects. It's a great it's my favorite WebDAV tool, and I think I have it configured on port 8022. Well, let's see, let's make sure it's pointing to the modules database. There you go. Click on OK here. Okay, let's take a look at BitConnects. I'm going to port 8022. You can see there's nothing there right now. I'm just going to navigate to the code that we were just looking at. All these things, all these files right into the modules database. Just give this a few, give it about 2 minutes. Okay, so all the code has been copied into the modules database. And you can see the WebDAV tool. Let me just, let's switch it to the document discovery modules. Log in, so let's make that admin. So I don't want to get prompted for login, just a development server. Okay, so I think at this point we can give it a try. Let's see. There we have it. We have the empty application. There's no data here yet. So I have this. I prefer to use Query Console. You could load the data from. I guess the example they give. You could use Information Studio. There's even this load tab here where you could load up some data. But my tool of choice is Query Console. I have a little function here. It's going to point to this directory. I think 8 files copied to. 8 files are copied to the PS4 demo server. Let's take a look. So here's the PS4 demo. Let me go to the directory, the temp directory, and I think there's a spreadsheet, Word document, PDF, PowerPoint. I think a wide range. There's even a JPEG in there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this code snippet, which is going to ingest. It's going to do document insert on all these binaries. This is going to call those. One pipeline is going to call the ISIS filter API, and then another pipeline is the meta pipeline, which is going to modify the metadata that was generated. So let me do that one more time. I inserted documents into the wrong database, put it into the triggers. Let me switch it to the document discovery database right there. Click on the Explore button just to see if there's nothing there. Just run the script. You'll see that these files will be inserted. There we go. So if I click on the Explore button, you'll see. So you see the files that have been generated. Now there's the file itself, the binary file itself, and then there's this XHTML file, which is the metadata that was created from the ISIS filter and modified later. I click on it and you'll see the metadata has a lot of detail about the file. Paragraph count, interesting. There's a links dirty count. There's the size of the file. Tells you what the file is. It's a Word 2007 format. A lot of good stuff. It shows the author, company, creation, some of the obvious stuff. I'm going to run this, show you what it looks like, and the blog post shows an example as well. But so here's the way the raw metadata is. And this was modified by the pipeline code. So that's the 451 report, and I could take a look at what the pipeline version of this right here. There you go. Nothing fancy here. Let's take a look at the application now. We should see some. Let me do a refresh. Great. We have a nice set of files here. Let's take the report we had before. I click on this link here. It's going to show metadata version of the document. I mentioned earlier the custom rating, so let's give this a rating of a 2, and then we're going to add a comment here. We'll say, let's say Jane Doe, and we say so there we go. We just added the comment. You can see it shows up down here. We had a rating. I'm going to add another comment. Okay, okay, so we got 2 comments. So we could modify that code so that it does a node insert. So let's try that again. Oh, the mechanics here. Let me just pick another one here. This is the famous Inside MarkLogic PDF, and I'm going to rate that a 5-star. And I'll say Jane Doe. So I'm going to add a comment here from Jane Doe, and we'll just start filling up this database a little bit. So there we go. We got 2 commenters. We got 2 ratings. So we could do some searches on this. Show some of the comments that was added. Let's quickly look at the content. One of the documents where I added a rating and also added some comments here. Here's the code that created the comments. Very straightforward. If you go into app functions, xQuery, it's under this custom directory here. You can see that a form is created which calls that little JavaScript that eventually invokes this insert comment xQuery code. Straightforward code here, just does node replace or node insert, and same thing with the insert rating, so very similar. So that's Discovery application. Get up and running with CPF. Shows a little bit about the binary support. And the future is exciting with this, because with MarkLogic 7 coming out, there's this ability to add this triple. But anyway, thanks for listening. Gary Russo.